Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this story The Tale of the Dark Music.
It's time to get scared. This is so far my favorite series here on the channel because you guys get to be a part of the video. If you guys want to be a part of part 6 of Scary Stories, make sure you guys send in your stories to my Instagram at Landon Productions and look for this image right here. All the stories will be picked from my Instagram for part 6 of this, so make sure you follow me and submit a scary story. And if you guys want to be a part of part 7, make sure you submit a story into this video in the comment section below. And by the way, I think you guys are all amazing. I absolutely love reading the comment section of the videos. Aaron Fawn said in part 3 of this video, take shots every time Landon says, is this real life right now? Then Star the Floofy Hybrid said, if someone does this, they're dead, brother. Do I really say it that much? Do I say it too much? Also, I think next week you guys are gonna finally see the new merch that we have for you guys. We're still fighting to try to get it as cheap as possible with the highest quality as possible. And yes, is this real life right now shirts will also be available. We're gonna try to do giveaways as much as possible for you guys. So how's it going, you guys? I'm your host for this one, Landon Do Not Sing, and today we have someone helping me out with this one. We have Eamon helping out with this video.
Hello guys, what is up? I'm very excited today. I'm usually very scared of scary stories. Yeah. So like, I don't know, like I feel like this is a struggle, but I was ready for
These
it.
ones are gonna be terrifying, and you know what's even more terrifying? It's the fact that I just stepped on raisins. There's raisins everywhere.
Who's behind the raisins?
So this right here is the top 10 scary stories ever told, part 5. And remember, all the stories we talk about are picked from you guys.
And you guys have honestly been through some things, let me tell you that. So starting us off with number 10 is the laughter. This one actually physically gave me goosebumps and was shared with us by Brookie Cookie 420, and boy, you guys are not ready for this. I was 4 years old when I had my first paranormal experience. At the time, I shared a room with my sister, and our closet had a little hatch in the ceiling that went to the attic. My mom and stepdad found an old Ouija board and a drawn pentagram up in the attic, so after burning the Ouija board, they blocked off the attic for good. We did occasionally hear footsteps and drawers and cabinets opening, but we never gave it much thought. My parents told us it was rats and not to worry too much. However, one time late into the night, I awoke to a laugh of a child in our closet. I thought it was my sister laughing, so I nudged her to see if she was awake, but she spoke some gibberish and turned over to face me, so she was still clearly fast asleep. I then got a little confused and looked back at the closet. It was dark, so I couldn't really see in there. Then I hear the laughter again, except this time it's not just one kid, it's 4, maybe 5 kids at once. They start saying my name and telling me to come play with them, so curiously I walk sleepily to the closet. Suddenly their laughter became cries of help, and I heard a deep manly laugh. I ran out of the bedroom to the bathroom because I almost had an accident being only 4. As I finished up, the bathroom light went out. It hadn't been storming that night, and I bolted out of the bathroom to my parents' room screaming help and crying. My mom woke up and checked the room and saw no one and told me it was a dream. I swore it wasn't until she got mad and woke my sister up to lecture her about scaring me. After that, we discovered the house was illegally sold to us and was supposed to be condemned. We were then told the history of the house, which proved to my mom I wasn't insane. A man had lived there who had a tendency to lure local children into his house with promises that he had kids of his own and would then kill them. Later that year we moved, and to this day I have an anxiety-inducing fear of the dark. Honestly, I would have been out of there the second you guys found the Ouija board and pentagram. Like, that is a hard no from me. And hearing the little kids' laughter, like haunted laughter, I can't really deal with. But when kids are involved, it's literally a whole other ball game. I'm so mad for you guys that you were screwed over with the house, but I'm also glad it proved to your mum that you're not crazy. If it makes you feel any better, I would have believed you and been like, serial killer, bad vibes, bad juju, I'd just block all of it for you. Don't worry, I got you.
Next up, we have scary paranormal experiences in at number 9. We have a story from Araya, and she said this: scary true story. This happened about a month ago. I was in the bathroom doing my thing and went to go wash my hands. In the middle of drying them, I heard banging on the door. Everything around me started to shake, even the mirror that is tightly secured with the nails, so you can't even move it an inch. I wasn't even scared or questioned why everything was shaking. I just thought it was my sister because she always always plays pranks on me. When I was done, I went to the kitchen where my sister was, and I told her not to play tricks on me like that because I never get scared. She looked at me with confusion and asked me what she did. I told her what I just told you, and her face dropped. She told me that she saw what looked like to be our sister's fiance go down the hall to the bathroom. We both went inside our older sister's room to teach them a lesson, but no one was there. We searched the whole house, but we were home alone. We both were kind of freaked out. We laughed about it, and then we went on with our day since this wasn't the first time that we dealt with the paranormal. So you've actually had many of these like experiences with paranormal? What did you do? You played the Ouija board, you forgot to close it? You know you have to like close the board, right, when you're done playing it? That's probably why all of this is happening.
Can you show us a sign?
Coming in at number 8, we have the figure. This one came from Antonio Matthew, so thank you for sharing this with us, but also I'm sorry you had to go through it. He said, this happened to me about a decade ago, but when I was a kid, I was vacationing with my family in a cabin out by a lake, and everything was going great. We were having fun, swimming, boating, stuff like that, and then when it was time to call it a night, something weird happened to me. Dun dun dun. No, that wasn't part of his story. I woke up in the living room on a pull-out couch and saw a figure standing in the middle of the room, not moving, not saying anything. I tried to call out to it, but I couldn't make a noise, and once my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I realized something. It was my brother. I thought he was just trying to scare me, so I tried to yell at him. Again, nothing came out, and then suddenly his head fell off. It might sound funny, but I'm serious. I tried waking up my mother, who was asleep next to me on the couch, but I realized it was my aunt, and then it hit me. I'd fallen asleep next to my mom in one of the bedrooms. It was as if something moved me to the living room in order to see that figure. I convinced myself it was just a nightmare and tried to go back to sleep. The next day when we were out swimming, my dad found my brother floating face down in the lake, passed out from heat stroke. We cut the trip short and immediately got him treatment. I don't really believe in the supernatural and things like that, but looking back on it, I wonder if it may have been a warning. Now I love how we always think it's our siblings out to get us at first. Like even in the next story, that's exactly what happens. Like, why are siblings so annoying, first of all? But honestly, I think that was definitely a bad omen for sure. Seeing that vision the day before was 100% a warning, Antonio, 100%. Like, hey, look out, something bad is about to happen to your brother. And clearly it was an important warning, since whatever it was moved you to the living room just so you could see it. I hope your brother recovered 100% fine, and I hope you haven't had any visions like that since. They're brutal. And coming in at number 7 is the mask, and this story comes from one of our subscribers, Raging Cage, and he says, I remember back when I was 7 and I lived in what I called a scary apartment. In that apartment, I lived downstairs and there was this scream mask. I was terrified of it. I would have these recurring dreams about a man with the mask killing me, and I would try and run upstairs to get my mom and wake her up, and little did I know that I was asleep. She would jump up and hold me while the guy with the scream mask would constantly stab me. I would wake up and sweat and cry. But that's not the scariest part. Me and my sister Haley shared a room, and we would stay up at night after we were supposed to go to bed and just talk. One night, me and my sister were talking about the mask, and I was also telling her about my dream, and she said a similar one, but hers was the guy just looking at her with a terrible, scary grin. Then, out of the blue, me and my sister saw the guy standing at the door that led to the stairs. Me and my sister freaked out, and being kids, just hid under our sheets. We were petrified. Haley, not knowing what to do, looks out of her cover and sees the guy over me just opening his mouth, kinda like Pennywise would, but without all the teeth and glowing light. Haley screamed and my mom came down. We jumped up and ran upstairs. A week later, my mom removed the mask and burnt it. Things improved and I never had the dreams again. Even though I'm 14 now, I'm still scared of that night. Honestly, just the thought of these dreams are scaring me right now. I used to have a dream myself where the scary demon would just be staring at me and smiling through a crack in my door, and I kid you not, it scared me to a level that has never been beaten till this day, so I really empathize with you and your sister. Now I'm 100% sure the mask was haunted or cursed since it infiltrated both of your dreams, and I'm assuming they stopped once you burned the mask. If you guys are ballsy enough to even stay in your room, I would have just defecated all over myself, but you know what they say, speak of the devil and he doth appear. And he did.
Who the heck is in the mirror is up next at number 6. This story comes from user Stephen Curry Jr. and they said this. This is a true story. I was at my grandmother's house, and one night I was watching Netflix. I went to the kitchen to get something to drink, and I was walking towards the room I was sleeping in as well. The bathroom door in the hall opened. I thought I was seeing things, so I ignored it. I later fell asleep, and when I woke up, the TV was moved so it faced my window. Again, I thought I was seeing this, so I ignored it, but all of a sudden I smelled peaches. No one else was up, so I said to myself, you're imagining things. But when I looked in the mirror, I saw a girl ghost-like figure. I waved, she waved, I moved left, and she did the same. Later the bed moved. After I sat on it to watch Netflix, I looked in the mirror again, and she was watching the TV too. I was freaking out, so I ignored everything and went back to bed. Later that morning, the ghost wasn't there. P.S. I hope this is in the video. Also, my name is Logan Bradford. Well, thank you so much for sending that in, Logan. Great name. I think you were so brave to ignore the situation so many times. And why the heck did you wave to the ghost girl? That would not be my first instinct. I would be running. I'd get the heck out of there. Or you know what? I'd actually be petrified. I don't know if I'd be able to move in that situation. You know, some people, it's like fight or flight. I'm neither of them. I'm just like still not moving, and I'm probably gonna be like dead in any situation. If something scary comes at me, there's nothing I can do about it. And was that the last time that you saw the ghost girl? The big black shadow demon is up next at number 5. This very terrifying story comes from Melissa Torres, and she said this. My scary story: when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I was staying at my grandparents' house, and all my cousins and sisters would say that one of my uncle's girlfriends had cursed the house. I never believed them. I thought they were just trying to scare me because I was a little kid. One night I fell asleep on the couch, and my grandparents had left me there, and they went in their own room to sleep. We had a cat at the time in the house, and I woke up to see him staring at the basement door in the kitchen. I didn't think anything of it and closed my eyes again. Not 2 minutes later, he was screaming and meowing really loud at the door. I opened my eyes to see why he was doing it, and all I could see was a big black shadow getting bigger and bigger. I covered my head with my blanket thinking it was gonna go away, but I could see the shadow through my blanket. I started crying, and then I felt it tug on my foot, and I threw my blanket on the floor. I screamed at the top of my lungs and ran upstairs crying and started to bang on my grandparents' door until they opened. My grandpa looked at me, and all I said was, I saw a demon. I never wanted to be in that living room alone again. Is this real life right now? How long ago did that happen? If this happened to me, even if I was in my like 30s or 40s, I would still be way too afraid to be in that living room alone. I guess her uncle's girlfriend really cursed the house, and why the heck would someone purposely curse someone else's home? I mean, that's disrespect right there.
Filling at number 4 slot is The Weeping Woman. This one was shared by Jaden Prandato on Instagram. Again, I'm sorry if I said your last name wrong. I thought my name was hard to say, but you guys have me beat. Anyway, he said, when I was 3, I moved into a trailer because my family wasn't ever that rich. So I walked into the house with my mother. Keep in mind my twin brother was with me, and I saw a strange lady in the corner of the room crying with a high-pitched scream in the middle of each sob. The lady had blonde hair and a green dress, and I told my mom of what I was seeing, and apparently my mom had a childhood friend that matched the description, but my mom's friend died because her dad was abusive and one day shot his family. I'm 12 now, and I still have nightmares about the Weeping Woman. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised your mom believed you. Usually parents just brush off things like that, but also I have many questions, Jaden. Were you the only one that saw the woman, or did your brother see her as well? And it's interesting how this woman just appeared in the trailer of all places, but I'm guessing her and your mom were very close and that's why it happened. Let me know, I'm just making up facts at this point. Just honestly, just imagine walking into a new place and a wailing ghost woman is the first thing you see. I think that would scar anyone at 3 years old, and kudos to you for actually remembering. I don't remember anything from when I was 3. Not a thing.
The birthmark that might not actually be a birthmark is creeping us in at number 3. I swear this story is 100% true. I have this weird memory from when I was really young. My parents take me to a weird house in a village. My father's friend drove us there with his car. There my parents took me to a house where an old lady used something sharp and poked me right under my left eye. And then we left. The weird thing is, I have a birthmark under my left eye. Whenever I asked my parents about my weird memory, they said that I was just imagining it. I still fully remember that memory even though I have forgotten some other more recent memories, which is really weird. Another clue that I have is that I have no pictures of myself from when I was really young, even though my 4-year-old sister has a lot. I don't know, it might be true, it might not, but whenever I think of it, it scares me to my bones. P.S. Sorry for any grammar mistakes, lol, no worries. Also, even if you don't see this story, I love you guys. Also, Rebecca looks a lot like my German teacher. LOL. I'll make sure to let Rebecca know that. Maybe the memory you have is true and you're actually remembering it right. It's weird that you have no pictures before you were age 4 years old. No idea why an old lady would stab you right in your eye. I mean, is this real life right now? I would have so many questions.
Coming in at number 2 is The Passenger. This one comes from Kelly Lee on Instagram, and she said, "Here's my creepy story. My dad was a truck driver. On one of his long hauls, he came into a large roadblock because of a horrible traffic accident. Another big semi ended up crashing into a small sedan. My dad then found out from another truck driver the couple in the sedan had died. But dad swore as he walked by the sedan the woman passenger looked very much alive. When he mentioned this to the other driver, the guy said, then you must not have noticed the windshield separating her head from her neck. My dad looked back at the car. It was true. The windshield did separate her head from her neck. But what freaked him out the most was the fact that the woman's eyes blinked and shifted to look at him. My dad only told that story once and never spoke about it again." I'm in awe at this. Like, maybe your dad saw this female passenger just as her soul was leaving her body. She hadn't quite crossed over, so maybe she was still in our realm. I fully believe this one, since the severed head is something anyone can recognize very quickly. So if your dad didn't see that right off the bat, he must have really seen her turn and look at him. And if that's the case, like, I want to feel scared, but honestly I feel sad. I feel sad for the woman, for the other passenger, for your dad. No one won in this situation, and in a car crash that is literally the worst possible way to go. Severed head? Oh my god. Severed head and spirit? Oh my god, ×2. And finally, at number 1 is The Grudge. This one was shared with us by Alyssa Classic, and again, I'm sorry if I butchered your last name, I didn't mean to, but this is what she said. "So I've always been a bit sensitive to spirits growing up, so I typically don't get freaked out by little stuff. However, my mom's house freaks me out. My mom, my baby brother, and I were looking to buy our first house. Me being older, I got to help mom. We looked at 24 houses, the 23rd house kept calling to us, so we decided to get that one. 1223 was the address. Seemed weird the number 23 kept popping up because my birthday is also the 23rd. So anyways, we bought it from an independent owner. I even asked her if it was haunted and she kind of just laughed it off and we settled in. I was probably 15 around the time weird stuff started happening. Shadow figures moving around, glass cups flinging off the counter, the sound of a ball bouncing across my floor upstairs while I'm in the living room. Scariest I've experienced was in my bedroom, the master bedroom of the house upstairs, and why I will never sleep on my back again. I was almost asleep and I'd shut off Netflix. I'm the only person upstairs, so I decided to go to bed as it was probably 10 or 11 p.m. Right as my eyes got heavy and almost shut completely, an American-faced grudge with pin-straight black hair crawled up either side of my legs from the end of my bed and came within inches face to face with me. I jerked the blanket up and over my head and held my breath. Took a second and lowered it back down to look around my room for any sign of her. Nothing. From that point on, I have always slept on my stomach, and the odd thing is that I also had black hair at the time, and one day after school my friend and I were studying and she asked if I had scurried to the closet and back. I had not, so I believe it was the same girl. My brother never once slept in his bedroom, which was also upstairs and across from mine, and my mum still lives there today. Even when I go over for the weekend, I sleep in the living room to avoid any sightings. That was my first and only full apparition, thankfully. You know what you got me, Alyssa? When your friend asked if you scurried to the closet and back. At that point I was stressed, like wiping the sweat off my brows type stressed. The image of this thing just scurrying just reminds me of that girl crawling backwards in The Exorcist. Like nothing should be scurrying, crawling, anything of that kind. From the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry that happened to you. I would have cried for a good 4 hours if that happened to me. And thankfully you never saw her again.
Alright, you know what the common elements in all these are? Everyone has these stories when they're very young.
Yeah, like I don't remember anything. I don't know how you guys have such vivid memories. Like I don't
I remember some things. I've seen things in mirrors and
What have you seen?
I don't know, like a girl's face in a mirror. And I'm pretty convinced it was my sister. I was thinking about her so much. She was in school.
Yeah.
So it was before, I think it was like 3.
Yeah.
And I saw the face and I freaked out. I told my parents. I don't know if they'll remember the story, but yeah.
What do they say? Were they like, landed, relax?
They don't believe me, but I know what I saw, which is why I believe a lot of these stories, and maybe kids do see paranormal stuff.
I feel like they're more sensitive to it than we are, probably.
Well, I got older and I stopped seeing stuff in mirrors.
Yeah.
So.
I'm blind anyway, so.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I was your host, Landon Do Not Sing.
I'm Eamon Hassan.
And we'll see you guys all in the next most amazing top 10 video. Bye.